I'm just hitting record. We can still keep, setting up, but this is the juice.
The juice. All right, we're ready when you are.
Stu hates when I do this.
I love when you do.
Welcome to the KLOS 50 in Reverse podcast. This is the fourth installment as we spotlight the impact 95.5 KLOS has had on radio, rock and roll, and the Southern California community it has served for 50 years.
She's not reading this.
No.
I'm your host, Rita Wild, joined again by Wizard Stu Herrera. Our spotlight for this episode is a couple of guys who changed the radio landscape forever and became one of the most celebrated, decorated, and influential.
She is reading it.
You guys were landscaping?
Yeah. Influential radio programs ever. Yes, we are honored to have as our guests two local DJs. How you guys doing?
Two local DJs. I haven't heard that in a while.
Two local DJs.
Hi, I'm Rick Dees.
Yeah.
And
I'm Jay Thomas.
Jay Thomas.
It's a really monumental and auspicious occasion for KLOS as we do this, and to have you folks here as part of our 50th anniversary just means so much to us. Thank you, because you really were the building blocks of this radio station.
Before we get to the silly, which because it's us, we will, but we must both thank you so much, Rita and Stu. But one at a time. Rita is very, 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 very influential in getting this reunion show put together and connecting us, liaisoning with KLOS. We wouldn't be here today if it weren't for that woman, Rita Wild. And Stu did all kinds of extra work, all kinds, and the effort he put into a lot of the promos and everything. Just thank you very, very much. We're honored.
Thank you very much. And the one that really gets the most credit should be switchboarder Laura Stringer, who did such an amazing job. Yeah. Because part of this whole thing, before we get into the game and play it, is the Radio Hall of Fame. And it's shocking to everybody that you are not in the Radio Hall of Fame.
Well, okay. Hear you. There is a groundswell of people, Bill Summers, who hired us at KLOS to do the morning show. Many, many people believe that we should be in the Radio Hall of Fame. And so this is really not coming from us per se. But if I'm being honest, and I said it on our last show, if you don't, put us in, who do you put in?
Kiss.
Probably Kiss. Yeah, there is. 25 years we did here on 95.5 KLOS, iconic call letters. And it would be an honor to have it happen, quite frankly.
And I don't know about you, but I didn't know all the what goes into getting into the Radio Hall of Fame until Switchboarder Laura called and said, okay, I'm starting this kind of this project to try to get you guys in. Okay, I thought it was going to be like the NFL. You had to be out of radio for so many years,
right? And
then they give you a call, and you're nominated, and they give you a yellow jacket, and you get a speech. I honestly didn't know. There's a lot goes into this. It's a huge, huge thing.
Yeah, exactly. So we're so honored to have Mark Thompson and Brian Phillips join us. Mark and Brian.
Thank you, Reed.
Who I had just such an amazing, fun time working with. Anyway, I thought we'd do a little bit of game, unless you have some more serious stuff to get.
Let's do some game.
We're done with that.
So
unless you have some more serious stuff.
Sorry.
I thought we would have a little fun. I thought we would have a little fun and play this. It's just a stupid recall game.
We're old.
No, but yeah, the timer will make you.
You're
feel
not,
like
Steve.
It's like word association.
Yeah.
It's like phrase association.
Oh, fine.
It's a phrase association game.
Okay.
We have a 60-second timer, and when it buzzes, we move on to the next topic, no matter where you're at. Well, if it's a subject you don't have that much interest in talking about,
then be uncomfortable and talk.
Great. Okay, good.
So we pass on it or something? Or?
Yeah,
you can pass on it.
Now, I got to tell you, Stu is like Danny, who used to run the syndicate.
Danny's like me?
Because when the show would fall apart, nobody was more entertained than Danny.
Oh, we'd have the suckiest break ever, and he comes in.
He's crying.
That was so...
So Stu loves it when it's on fire.
Okay.
That's when he comes in.
Right. Try to help you out. We'll try to...
I'm already ready.
All right, ready to play?
You ready? Want me to start the time? You
do we
read
talk
the
fast?
question, then I will start the time.
You talk whichever you want.
Okay,
this is the first topic. Argar Largar.
Oh, God.
One of the worst on-location shows we've ever done. And because it was so bad, it was good.
We got a call from a guy who said he was a Bigfoot specialist. We flew to Seattle, camped out, did a live broadcast. And when the guy said to us that Bigfoot had walked into his campsite and said, "Argar, largar," we both knew we had an insane man, and we had 4 hours of radio to kill.
We camped that night in the woods with this guy. What were we thinking? And there was a point when we were sitting around the campfire. We've done the initial thing. We're going to get up early in the morning and broadcast on the morning show one more time. There was a moment, Mark and I looked at each other and go, what are we doing here? It's not like we're going to see Bigfoot.
I got drunker than I've ever gotten
Jack
that
Daniels,
night.
yeah.
Good God. Argar, largar.
Argar, largar.
Argar, largar. You made it within 60 seconds.
Wow.
Thank you very much. That was awesome.
professionals.
Thank you. Yeah, I know. I could tell that. What's it like sleeping in? You enjoying that part?
You know,
Is that a question that I
Yeah,
should be?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Brian, you go
60
first because I'm
seconds.
not sure I'm qualified.
Well, for the first maybe over a year, when I left KLOS, over a year, my eyes would open every morning at 3:30, which is what time I got up during 25 years, and it took over a year to not be able to. I mean, I wasn't able to fall back asleep, but eventually, my eyes still to this day open at 3:30 every morning. But I can roll over and fall back asleep. It's nice, find a cold space on the sheets.
Mine is boring yet extendedly good in that right now I'll piddle around until 9. I'll climb into bed with Linda. We watch a little TV. We go to bed to sleep at 10.
Linda Thompson?
Thompson.
Your wife? Okay, good. Great.
And then we get up at 6. Now, I'm still getting up early, but I get 8 hours of sleep. It's life-changing.
Amazing.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
I'm
It
jealous.
really is.
Jeez. So I can call you at 3:30. You'll be up.
I'll be up. My eyes will be open.
All right. Cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Next thing, oops, sorry. Go ahead, you, Stu.
All right. We got this worked out.
Yeah, to see, it's like it's cramped in here, and it's like we always have to share
Well,
microphones.
no,
and
look,
stuff.
this is the beauty of podcast. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be pretty.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The character or person that gave you the most creeps.
Gotta think about that.
Oh, I know.
I
it.
know.
I know
what
one
mine
of
is.
them.
I know mine.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Person.
Creepy guy, actor.
Christopher Walken?
No. I love Christopher Walken, but I was looking forward to this gentleman coming in, and he ended up being the biggest creep and so mean to Priva. On the air, he was so sweet, but off the air, he was so mean.
Gary
Gary
Busey.
Busey. That's
Oh,
him.
my gosh.
What a dick. Gary, I just hate that. I mean, he made Priva cry. He was so rude to her. And then he had the audacity to come on our show as a guest now. You know, he just arrived. Priva's already crying out in the green room. And then he comes in. Oh, Mark and Brian, I got to tell you, man, I've had an epiphany, and I just think kindness and goodness is what we all should be sharing, and I wanted to rip his frickin' face off. I still do. I carry it with me. I'm okay, though.
The character that gave me the most creeps was Burr. Burr.
The character.
Character or person, yeah. So, yeah, we got to move on to the next topic.
Burr made me uncomfortable.
Oh, God, gave me creeps.
Didn't the first time Ozzy come in? Didn't you guys feel like you need to take a bath? I heard that.
Okay, my first experience, I really did not know what Ozzy was like, and I was frightened because he couldn't put a sentence together. I thought he was completely hammered, and it was Rita who, when we took a break, she pulled us aside and says, "Listen, it's okay. He's perfectly fine. It's just the way that, his brain is fuzzy." And then after that, once we understood, because he came back in many times, tremendous radio.
Oh, yeah.
Once
And he always jingled because he was wearing so much jewelry and the pointy things. Quickly, back to Burr. I know we're running out of time here. That started because the show was going nowhere that day, just nothing. And I just thought,
But it just gave me the
I picked up the phone, and Mark goes, Mark and Brian program. He saw that I wanted to do a thing. I just go, hello, this is Burr. And he just said nonsensical. I have a ferret. His name is Toby. He smells like wood, and then Mark was like, "Am I supposed to laugh? Because he'll be there for you. He's a great partner, But it just made him uncomfortable, and there was some edge in it. And for some reason, so many listeners. I've seen a license plate with Burr on it. So many listeners love that, and I'm not sure why.
I can't stand him.
I will say this:
Sorry.
I would go with Burr as long as I could. And then it was, but this was the dividing line for me when Burr brought up my kids and that he was watching them in the bed. That was the.
But he was kind and sweet. He goes, Amy looks so beautiful when she's sleeping.
Ew, you're creeping me out now. Next, let's go.
Happy birthday.
It's a parasol.
Oh, God.
Not a fun guest.
Tina Louise, this is early Mark and Brian. Tina Louise comes in.
Yeah.
She played Ginger on Gilligan's Island, and she refused to answer any questions about Gilligan's Island. All she wanted to talk about was her parasol.
And in defense of her, a little bit of defense of her, she thought she was coming in like on a home shopping network or something to promote her product, the Ginger parasol or whatever it was.
It was basically an umbrella, and whenever we referred to it as an umbrella, it's a parasol. And then I would just bring up Gilligan again, and I don't know how
Did
many
Gilligan
breaks
have a parasol?
I mean, good God. What are you thinking? But yeah, Tina Louise. Yeah.
Would.
No.
Today.
Mary Ann, man.
Well, you know.
No.
The professor,
Each in turn.
like a radio out of a
There you go.
coconut. Come on.
You're a professor. All right. Barking seals.
Funny Christmas show, giving away Christmas tickets, the hottest ticket in town every year. We're very, very proud and honored to say. And people would call up with whatever to try to win the tickets.
This guy calls up and he goes, I train seals. I'd like them to bark.
Jingle bells.
Okay, jingle bells. And so the seals barked jingle bells.
It was amazing.
We gave him tickets. It was amazing.
It was like honk, 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 honk. It was just real seals, real barking, and we were blown away. Talked about it the whole show.
He got them in San Francisco, right there at Fisherman's Wharf.
Right.
He was saying.
And so we gave him the tickets. Then we were hipped to the groove. We presented him on the Christmas show stage. He didn't have any seals. It was him doing it. And we did it live. It was amazing.
It was so good.
Shook his hand and said, that was brilliant, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Brought it. Who has the biggest nose? Still.
We actually came to the bottom of that because we always tease each other about our big honkers. And so we did. It was a minute science because we are, of course, men of science.
Right.
We had called a caliper or something
like
device?
that. Sounds good. Go with that.
And we had someone come in and they actually measured our noses. And I was confident that Mark's big old honker, this beak that arrives in a room before he does, was much bigger than mine. Mine ended up being like 5 centimeters longer than his.
However, in defense, Brian is 6'4". He's a larger man. He's going to have a larger nose. But, I mean, look at this thing.
Well, yours has gone wider.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, were they measuring length? Were they measuring girth? I think it was just length.
It was
top to
From the
bottom.
crown to the tip.
But now it's gone, but you can see it's gone.
Enough, Rita.
Okay.
Did you take up boxing?
They brought in like a calculus instrument, a compass. Nice.
Your favorite concerned onlooker role?
I guess would be, they were all wonderful because, we got to be on Cheers, but I think the first one was the very best that I'll remember. Which is why we're called Concerned Onlookers, because that's how we got credit for the very Brady Christmas made-for-TV special.
You should know that the reason that we were in it is because we had Florence Henderson on the show, and she was about to shoot. They were in the middle of shooting A Very Brady Christmas, and she invited us to come be Concerned Onlookers. And so we knew her. So we're on the set that day, and we're about to shoot, and Florence looks at us and says...
Well, we're standing way in the back.
Right.
Way in the back, because there's a big crowd where the scene is Dad Brady is underneath... Fell in the well, or the building collapsed or something, and so he's maybe buried in there. So there's 20 or 30 people. We're just passersby on the street, and we're supposed to look concerned.
And Florence finds us, and she looks at us, and she says, boys, come up here by the money.
Stand by the money.
And we stood right beside.
And because of that, if you get the videotape, and maybe the DVD, but we're actually in the scene with her on the picture.
And on the cover, too.
On the cover,
yeah.
Okay, so quick. So my kids were young. We had already done the movie. They wanted to see A Very Brady Christmas on so I found the video, and I'm thinking, why? But we found it. The kids camped out on the floor. Linda and I are in the bed. One by one, the movie's on. One by one, the kids fall asleep. Then Linda falls asleep. I'm stuck watching that piece of crap, Very Brady Christmas. And it's not that bad.
It's pretty good. And this is the first real live Hollywood TV direction that I'd ever received, and I'm just going to be verbatim. We take the first scene where we're concerned onlookers. They take the first shot, and then the director goes, "Cut, Mark and Brian. Can you look a little less constipated?" Because this was my face, I guess.
Yeah. Too concerned.
Yeah. Too concerned.
Okay, gone to the next one here. Biggest ball fiddler.
Wow.
He's sitting to the right of me.
Like baseball ball fiddling? No, as in,
Fiddle.
yeah, like fiddling with your cup.
Yeah,
Ball
and,
fiddler.
and you know, certain things don't change. And I'll be honest with you, I do it. There's no question. I'm unaware of it. Men, we're what's the?
No, just throw some, baking powder.
Really?
Johnson, baby powder.
It may
I
work
like
for
baking
some of
powder
us.
better.
Baking powder.
But
Stick it in the oven.
I know Linda got on you about it too, but I can't tell you the times when we've had Maureen O'Hara. Was on our program, and as Mark's reaching over to shake her hand, he's flicking his balls. I mean, it's stuff like that, millions of times.
I don't mean
From
to
Gone
do
with
it.
the Wind, that Marino.
Oh no, for a John Wayne movie, Marine. I'm sorry.
Quiet Man,
Yeah,
One of those big
Maureen.
cameras.
Maureen O'Hara.
That's Maureen O'Hara.
Maureen O'Hara.
Yeah.
Don't ask me.
Now, do you favor one hand? Is it equal opportunity?
Right hand. I'm right-handed,
So-
and so yeah.
So you shake with your right hand.
Yeah. Well, Stu, for the record, my hand's not down my pants.
Well, of course.
It's on
But
the outside.
They were
Unless
there.
you wear shorts and it's
They were there.
They were
hand with the buddies, then hand out. Hey, pleased to meet you.
I've never seen him up in the pink, if that's what you're asking.
Okay.
the Mark and Brian mobile.
Oh, loved it. I don't know any other morning show that ever had their own car that would drive them around to various events outside the studio during a show. And the first one was probably my favorite. It was a 65 Cadillac convertible, and we had flames painted on the sides, and it was tricked out by the engineering department so that we could go out and broadcast from the back seat. The passenger front seat was gone because there was equipment, and it was sweet. We were doing broadcast out when nobody else could do it.
There were also like these little things that opened up, like James Bond on the fender. They opened up, and we had a squirt gun pressurized thing.
I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
we'd pull up to a car, and if they had the windows down, squirt.
We could squirt them.
Yeah. And
It
you
was-
remember we were out and about doing something in the Mark and Brian mobile, and we saw Ed McMahon.
Yes.
Ed McMahon.
Which we knew it.
We knew him. He'd been on the show, and he's a very, very sweet guy. And we said, Ed, come on. We're going to ride around. So we sat up on the back of it like we're in a parade, and we just drove around Hollywood.
But now think of Ed McMahon. He pulled over. He must have been busy going somewhere. He
Wearing
pulls
a
over,
suit.
parks his car, gets in with us, and rides around for 2 hours.
What? Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
my God.
That's some great stuff.
That's killer.
Let's do this one. My favorite picture of all time happened in the Mark and Brian mobile. Bozo the Clown.
Well,
God almighty.
I blame him.
Well, it was. Okay, cut to it. There was a show where Brian dressed up like Bozo the Clown.
My birthday show.
And it was your birthday show, and he was drunk.
Well, we used to throw birthday shows for each other, okay? And we did it so many years. After all, what are you going to do? I mean, we did some amazing things for each other. So I go in that morning, and when it's your birthday and the other guy's throwing it for you, you do nothing. No show prep, no anything. It's a wonderful day. So I go in, and the first thing I'm sitting there, Mark goes, Brian, happy birthday. I need you to take a shot of tequila. I go, no, you're going to really want to do that. So I think, so I wouldn't bitch about what's coming up. So he got me so smashed.
And I had arranged for the first Bozo the Clown, who had retired, to come in, dress him up, makeup, the whole outfit, the boots. And so there he is, dressed as Bozo, drunk. And we said, well, Bozo needs to do a show. So we drove down to the Carl's Jr.
And at this point, I'm like, okay.
And so Bozo did a show for the kids, and it was hysterical. And so then we get into
now.
the...
Do you remember that part?
Oh, that's my favorite.
What?
Bozo's going. And he's doing, hey, boys and girls, that voice. Okay, keep
there
in
was
mind.
like one booth, and there was like two little kids sitting there and their mom.
And so keep in mind, Bozo's 6-7 shots tequila in. And so, hey, boys, he's doing the show. Hey, boys and girls, how you doing? And all of a sudden, Bozo stopped talking. And there was this pause. And then we heard Brian's voice go, easy now. Okay. All right. So wait. So Brian, I didn't know what was happening. Brian told me later that
God.
So he's in the middle. He's drunk. He's in the middle of doing Bozo. He almost passed out, and he was saying to himself, "Easy now."
I didn't even know I said it out loud.
All right. So what Rita is referring to, Bozo has finished the show. Hey, wait. Credit to a professional. He finished the show.
Yes.
We get in the car, in the Mark and Brian mobile. Bozo is on the right back seat. I'm in the left back seat. Bozo. Now, by this time, after a hot show at Carl's Jr., the hair, the wig had started to slide back, and his blonde hair is sticking out of here, and his eyes are slits, and he's got him a post-show smoke going, and a picture was taken. The Bozo people would not let us post it, but it's up now.
Because of this. Oh, it is?
Oh, it's out there.
Okay.
Yeah. It's iconic. I mean, really.
That is.
And then I realized on that drive back to the station from the Carl's Jr. why he got me drunk. Because I wouldn't want to do that.
I knew because on Brian's birthday, I did the birthday show for him, and he did one for me, but I knew that he liked to go out with his friends and party on his birthday, and he likes to dress up and look good, and I knew that he's not going to put on the Bozo after this was all fixed up. Right. And so I realized the only way for this to happen is get him drunk, and it worked.
It was beautiful.
Genius.
There was no pushback.
Wow.
Not at all.
And this morning, we go to KTLA for a live broadcast. What clip do they show? Brian and the Bozo out there.
Drunk in the studio.
Good.
Easy now.
Let's see. What are you most proud of about the show? 25 years
That
here in Los Angeles.
That, I think, overall...
Bozo?
No, that 25. 25 years, because I don't know of any other, big city, large market radio show with the same two people for 25 years in the same place.
Yeah.
I mean... I'm very, very, very proud of that. I'm very, very proud that we touched a lot of lives, and Mark mentioned it earlier, and in a previous interview, how people will come up and say, "Hey, I went through this, and you guys got me through," and what an honor and a gift it was to be able to do that.
I mean, Brian touched on. I mentioned on Heidi and Frank. It was that. It begins with, I just want to get on a mic and tell jokes, and you did that. And then somebody says to you, my mom passed away last year, and I was with her for the year she went through cancer. The only smile I got was you guys. Yeah. And that was not the first time. We heard that quite a bit. That's, for me,
there were so
that's
many
it.
different things that you went through while on the air, like an earthquake, fires.
9/11.
Even 9/11. Oh, my God. You guys on 9/11 were so amazing.
That comes up more than any other thing. And what Rita's referring to is obviously on 9/11, we all were sitting there watching television as the Twin Towers fell. And we, on a daily basis, it's hijinks, it's shenanigans, it's tomfoolery. And there we are, dealing with this. We're both watching the same television monitor and speaking to the audience, not doing jokes, not kidding around.
And we could have gone to a live, ABC feed and just taken the day off, but we made a conscious decision. No,
people needed you.
We're going to hang. We're going to hang here. And I will tell you, I'd never done anything like this before, but. The show was over. I walked down the hall and went to your office, Rita. I don't know if you remember this. And I sat on your couch in your office, and I started bawling, and I couldn't stop bawling. And that was the most exhausting, and personally and professionally. It was a horrible day.
And for me, we all process things differently, and I think because of the fact that we were on the air during it, and we had to be conscious of what was going on, I didn't have a chance to process it. And I believe that was Super Bowl weekend or maybe a week before it. I didn't process this thing until the Super Bowl halftime show, U2, was the performance. And when Bono, who is not from the United States, opened his jacket and the American flag was there, that was the moment.
And they started rolling the names.
I just... So, yeah, that comes up more than anything. Out of all the stuff, that's what people bring up the most, 9/11.
Yeah.
Powerful stuff.
But we weren't afraid to do that.
No.
I mean, as a morning show, we were if it's stupid, it's going on. We're going to do this. But we weren't also, when something like that happened, or the earthquake, or something sad happened in one of our lives, we would stop down in a second. We're human. We're gonna deal with this just like you're dealing with it.
Real life
I'm very
stuff.
proud of that. Yeah.
But then you also brought back, you made us laugh. What was more of your favorite? The Yeti bitches or the cut you guy? Elvis and the Yeti bitches or the cut you guy?
I loved the cut you guy when I first started doing the cut you guy. This is when during the time when the post office, they were all going mental, postal. And so I just would call up and I'm a post office, I work at a post office, and I was going crazy. But I will say the Elvis is one of my favorite sketches because it was, I write the sketches and like Eric, Lola, and I would write the sketches, but that went off script. Like many of our favorites, that just goes off script, and I just start improvising with Mark, and it was one of my favorites.
And my favorite, and it happened many times, but Brian's in the middle of the thing, and I'm laughing at it, and then in the middle of the thing, Brian drops the script, and he goes, and he says to me, "I'm going to cut you."
Go to karate chop you. Go karate chop you.
Good
I liked
stuff.
it when because the augmented voice. It's up here like little Elvis. The voice is up here like Elvis, but it was like electronic augment. And so I'm like karate chopping Mark because he's pissing me off. I go, I can't believe you're still standing.
Oh, God.
That's good stuff.
Dude, cut you guy. And it was just like the energy, like it was already funny, and like you're killing, but you're killing him, and like it's raising. I don't know. It's just making it.
Well,
funnier.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
I will say this: every radio show has scripted comedy and all of that. But Brian came into the Mark and Brian program as an improvisational comedian. He was with improvisational groups and all this stuff. And when that really showed itself brilliantly, I thought, was his ability, as I just talked about. He's got a couple of thoughts, a script in front of him. But then he sees a thing, and he goes with the thing I just said, "I'll cut you." And then he went and vamped for 60 seconds. Most are not going to do that, but he did.
Yeah.
And I learned that he does this, and I just take the ride.
But to go to Stu's point, and the reason why that is because if you're enjoying it, I'll just keep going over there. Because,
you're getting fed, and he's getting
and
fed,
we're
and it's just
feeding
like
each other.
It just keeps going and round and round.
And speaking of that, when I would be handed the script that we were going to do for that day, Brian would give it to me. I would take a highlighter and I would just highlight my name. I never read the script ahead of time because I wanted the jokes fresh.
Yeah.
I wanted to, and then I'm in the middle, I'm holding the sketch, and all of a sudden, Brian's not saying what's on the page. He's off on another thing. And so I put the script down and go with that.
That's great stuff.
Oh, God.
They're telling us we have to wrap up soon.
It's been a half hour already?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
And we haven't even we did a crappy
Barely
job of
scratched the surface.
playing the game. Do you see anything on here, Stu, that you want to ask about?
Well-
Favorite Elvis Bob? Sorry, just saw that.
Yeah, pass.
Huh?
I mean,
Pass? Okay, good.
Favorite? George Quarterman.
the most elegant, wonderful human being in the world. Think Sidney Poitier.
Yeah.
Just an elegant man and a kind heart.
I don't know what it was about listening to Officer Quarterman tell us what he was going to have for breakfast, but it was like cocaine.
Having wobbles and sausage.
But for me, we had, for some reason, Officer Quarterman's wife on the phone one morning, and it was their anniversary. And we alluded to the question, did you and your husband get together last night and, enjoy? And her quote was, I still remember it, that man doesn't have a romantic bone in his body.
Oh, wow.
Who hired you at KLOS? Last question.
Bill Summers, the great Bill Summers, looked at a morning show in Birmingham, Alabama, to come and fill the shoes of mornings at 95.5 KLOS. I don't know what it is exactly that he saw, but he saw it. And he hired us. Usually,
I think it's because also we were cheap.
Yeah, we didn't cost nearly.
Yeah, maybe that's what he saw.
And he pulled the trigger and believed. And listen. I mean, we went back and forth. There's no question about it. But Bill always said, if there's something you want to do, you let me know, and I'll find a way to make it happen. Yeah. Bill Summers, he's in our Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
One more. Bob Coburn.
Oh.
I was I saw you both at his funeral. That one hurt me. That one hurt pretty darn bad. I always remember the story of I was in his studio one day. He was doing his show, and he goes, "Hey, have you heard these guys? I'm loving them." And it was In Excess, first hit, and they had just that 2 or 3 hits, and I loved them, and they were going to be in town. So Bob, who I didn't know, we weren't really close because we opposite ends of the clock, but we liked each other. And he goes, "I'll tell you what, why don't you come with me to the concert this weekend?" And I'd love to. Okay, meet me at the station. So we meet at the station. He's in his gorgeous white Mercedes. I mean, this guy was so successful, knew how to do it. We get to the Forum where the concert is, and I get out of the car and I'm starting to walk. He goes, "Where are you going?" Now remember, I'm not that close to him at this point. He's just a great guy I respect. And he goes, "Where are you going?" I go, "Are we going in?" He goes, "Well, no, not yet. We have to prepare."
All right.
I'm like, "Okay." Then he goes, "Get in the back." Again, I don't know the fella. And I thought maybe the wires were crossed in his, what the heck? So we get in and he opens up this amazing bottle of Cabernet, and pours the glass, and we're sitting back. Basically, we're tailgating class-like. I mean, real class. And he lights a something, and it was my first experience to go to a concert in Los Angeles, and he spoiled it for everybody else. It was amazing.
And for me, I mentioned that, here it is, iconic 95.5 KLOS. Classic rock is held in this high regard. Some of the great jocks who study classic rock. Mark and Brian, hired to do morning show. We have nothing to do with classic rock. We've never even played it. And so Bob would come and take over for us. Now, this is Bob Coburn. We, Mark and Brian, we don't finish at the time we're supposed to, which is 10. We would do a talkover with Bob for 45 minutes.
And he didn't mind. He wanted it.
He went
Loved
with it. Now, I know that inside he's exploding because he's got that great moody blues he wants to share. But he did it, and he loved it, and he embraced it, and he enjoyed it. He was always so kind to us. So, to be honest, everybody was at KLOS. Here we are.
Well, let me. In this, my last thing I want to say is the voice, the beautiful Rita Wilde voice you're hearing. We replaced her.
Thank you.
That attitude is what she had. She thanked us so much.
You so much.
But our first, and I had met her a couple of times. Our first day on the air, the first show went great. We were both really excited about it. A lot of support. And I walk out to the jock area, and I saw. Well, first of all, I had a locker. Didn't even know my name was on it. But taped to the locker was a carded envelope, and I opened it up. And she said the sweetest thing. Well, now I realized you're just so glad you didn't have to get up anymore, but you were just so supportive, and to this person you didn't know, and wished us luck, and that you already were a fan, and it just shows the size of this woman's heart.
And speaking of the first show, as Brian said, we'd finished it. We felt pretty good about it. Went as close to planned as could. And we walked out of the studio. This is the original building, that hellish long hallway. And standing midway up, about a half a football field from us, is salesperson Arlo. He's got his arms in the air, and he's saying to us, "Come to me, my little money makers."
Awesome.
Guys,
Wow.
I can't thank you enough for everything.
We
that
barely scratched the surface.
everything that you've done for me. Your memories of Christmas. I would think back. Yeah, I did that. Man, that was so much fun. You don't think about those things. And you brought so many wonderful memories back. You've just been amazing to work with. Congratulations on the 25 years, and best of luck in the Radio Hall of Fame. We're going to get you in.
Thank you, Rita.
Thank you, Rita.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Stu, as well.
Yeah, I was so nervous the day that I started there, and they brought me in, and I'm going to meet Mark and Brian. Well, you're going to be working with them, dummy. I guess so. Well, I guess I got to meet them. And, hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you. Great. Heard a lot of good things about you. And I was like, I'm working with you. I was just so completely inelegant. And you guys, just rolled out the red carpet for me. And I still, kind of pinch myself. I worked with Mark and Brian. I worked with them every single day for years and years and years.
Well, look, as a guy that does voices, I was always so jealous of you. You're so frickin' talented. When we started setting up this reunion show, and I'm talking to Rita on the phone, I said, "Genius is going to be there, right?" And she knew exactly who I was talking about.
Yeah.
I call you Genius. But, you are so talented, too.
Yeah. I better get a name badge. Genius.
Let's go work on that.
Spell
All
it right.
Thank you. That's the end of the. So I got to say, the
1500?
Reverse Podcast, whatever I got to say. Thank you, Mark Thompson. Thank you, Brian Phelps, 2 local DJs. Look at the phones going crazy.
Look at that. They don't even know.
my God.
Take one.
Okay.
No, what? It's just.
Let's go to the
Oh, you got to go do a couple hours.
one.
Thank you, Gwen. I don't know what the next one is.
I gotta pee.
Podcast going to be.
It's 6 minutes till go time.
Yes.
Will
so
I
we
have
go.
time to pee and
crap.
stuff?
Yeah,
Okay.
let's do.
All right.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.